Hello, friends. This is a bit of a different one. I don't have a particularly thoughtful analysis planned out for you, and I'm going to play a game I've never played before for a little bit, and I'm mostly just going to hang out with you while I do it, because, well, it's a bit of a rough month to try and make videos about this kind of game. It's already just difficult to try and do stuff when it comes to Magic Month. And it turns out that I already said all these things last year when I talked about how difficult it was to tie video games into Magic. Also with board games. Anyway, this is Grey Matter, which is by Jane Jensen. You may recognize from me talking about Jane Jensen last year when I talked about Gabriel Knight. Well, I meant to play this game then, because I really care about this particular person's body of work, and I'll go into that more in a bit. But I couldn't get it because of other things I'll get into. But for now, let's check it out. All I know about this game is that it's a point-and-click adventure game, and that the protagonist is a street magician. Ludgershall. Good traditional British name. This person litters. They must be a villain. Haunted?
Damn it. It's completely dead.
I do like this use of minimal animation. It reminds me how in my own work, actual animation is difficult. Still, graphics moving with personality is relatively easier.
Yes. How do you do? I'm the assistant for Dr. Styles. I'm the new assistant. Yes. I'm the new assistant for Dr. Styles. Oh, God.
Dr. Styles. Did we just witness that? I guess that's a thing that just happened.
Hi, I'm the new assistant for Dr. Styles.
Oh, cognitive abnormality research in a game called Grey Matter, with a street magician as our protagonist.
I can't believe what I did last night. I need to get out of here before they figure out who I really am.
My goodness. My goodness, that's quite an outfit. Okay, so this is the tutorial. Learn how to play by helping Sam get her pet rabbit Houdini settled in. You need to find Houdini and then give him food and water. This is a little strange. I thought we just basically wheedled our way into this place. First, find Houdini. Look around the room. Move the cursor over items that look interesting. Click on everything, gives you a special cursor. Okay, so this game is actually at the point in history where it needs to teach us how to use a point-and-click adventure game. Is she looking at the cursor? No, she's just got idle animations. Okay, well, backpack seems the most likely thing.
The first thing I need to do is to find Houdini. And I know he's not in my backpack. Poor thing has to travel in there when I ride my bike. That's the last place he'd go with a nice big room to explore.
Well, I'm hearing rustling sounds.
There's something odd. There's something...
Okay, so it's a... Aha! So it is just a move until you find the right region.
Houdini! There you are. Are you scared? Or just up to your usual tricks, you furball, you? I was worried.
I don't know what to tell you. We're dealing with a magician who has a pet rabbit.
Stay put for at least 10 minutes, will you, Who?
I don't know if that's exactly the way you pick up a pet rabbit, but I'm not an expert. Okay. Alright. This game wants to point out to look in my backpack, which is a little awkward. Like, you should probably do that without having to tell me about it. That's a water bottle?
Houdini's water bottle. Unfortunately, it's empty. Amazing considering how soaked I got last night.
Bicycle back cards. That's a nice touch. A magic handbook. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff here.
My first magic book. The tricks are kind of juvenile, but the basic techniques are timeless. I never go anywhere without it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. A lot of magic can be cooked down to 6 basic techniques, and everything else is just the degree of presentation you have.
I still have some Houdini goodies left. That rabbit eats better than I do.
Do you eat nothing? Okay. So we kind of have a Beneath a Steel Sky style interface, I guess. Yeah, very, very simple.
This needs to go to Houdini.
So left click to right click.
There you go. The hard stuff. Don't overdo it now. You never could hold your carrots.
Okay. The game is also using audio cues to give me some hints. There's dripping water. Of course, one of the problems with this kind of a game, especially when you've got perspective, is that the character themselves represents just a great big block in the middle of the screen.
That's a great bed. Too bad it was just for one night.
Why did you have a cage? I guess you gotta get it settled before you do things. Okay, so that's a water pitcher. There's a lot of work done in this lady's animation. Like, there's a degree of disconnect from these things. Okay. There's a lot of disconnect from these things normally. But, like, she doesn't look too terribly out of place in this landscape. Obviously, there's going to be difficult with things like lighting and whatnot, because she's moving around a simplified... Her 3D environment is obviously a much more simplified version of this. Okay. So, the game has a point-and-click interface a lot like Beneath the Steel Sky, except where Beneath the Steel Sky it was left looks at everything, right does everything. This is not quite like that. Alright, we have looked after Houdini and finished the tutorial. Now you're free to explore the rest of the Dread Hill house. Good luck. So, as much as I would like to make fun of this on the basis of it's a tutorial for a point-and-click adventure game, I kind of appreciate that. And what a game.
The Daedalus Club London. I will get there, one way or another.
One of the things that you'll find...
A girl traveling alone has to have more than a few tricks up her sleeve.
Alright, I'm just going to grab all this stuff.
A towel is the... All I have is £5. I should never have bought that piece of crap bike in Liverpool. It wiped me out. A clean, crisp deck of cards is one of the necessities of life. Hey, Mom and Dad. Looks like the rain didn't hurt you. That's cool. I'm almost done reading it. Trey Gothic. I don't need to carry it around, though. A letter from the foster care department back in D.C. I don't need to take it.
Okay. So, the fact is that you do need to actually have a tutorial for this kind of game these days, I guess. And similarly, this is a game with... well, the thing it wants you to do in your opening act is to explore your own bag of goods. You know, look at what you own, introduce you to the point-and-click mechanisms, but also to feed your pet rabbit, who it introduces you to, and who that pet rabbit is named. Houdini. So, like, right off the bat, we're doing a lot to give you, like, a lot of framing and loading is being done here. That's actually really good. I like that. I was talking about this with my students recently, that the game Watch Dogs opens, like, the first game action you take in the tutorial of that game is you perform a mock execution, which is that's just straight up torture. And so the way a game eases you into its tutorial tends to be a good way to introduce yourself to things. And in Watch Dogs, it introduces you to that character by saying, this guy would torture people. And in this, it tells you that first, you're a con artist who's willing to get into an obviously haunted as hell house, but also that your care for your pet rabbit is very high priority. I like that. I think that's cool. All right, let's go have a look around. Wonder if there's a way to speed up the movement.
I need to get out of here before they figure out I'm an imposter. But first, I need to find a map or bus schedule or something so I can figure out where I'm going.
All right, cool. This is one of those maxims of the controls. Oh, neat. Oh, hello, space, hotspot labels. That's something these kind of games really... like, I remember the first game I played with hotspot labels was... Simon the Sorcerer, where you could do this, and yeah, see, check it out. It's just showing me everything that matters in this space. That's really cool, and you can turn them off. But the nature of point-and-click adventure games is almost a little like System Shock, where you tend to operate by first approaching a game, the game, not knowing what you're going to need next. And as you get on your way to the thing you need, you wind up being waylaid by things you didn't realize you needed until eventually you've done like 44 things on the way to just opening a door. And that means that when you do finally get around to opening the door, it's like a little party happened. It's very pretty. This might sound like I'm making fun, but this game really has a very...
Not a soul. Pretty quiet, too.
Oh, nice. This game has a lot of in common with the found object genre, like really sumptuous backgrounds. Aha.
It says, for the new assistant. Hopefully by the time they figure out I'm not that person, I'll be long gone.
So I can't look in it?
It says...
No. Well, fair enough. That's a good point. And that will probably wind up being a thing that comes up later. Well, hello there, phone.
There's no one I can call. I don't know a soul here. And I can't call a repair shop because I don't have any money.
All right. That right there, that closes off two of our possible avenues. It's weird because a phone is usually like one of those incredibly useful things to wind up juking in a general kind of way.
Cool candelabra. All I need is a nightgown and a stormy night, and I could play Jane Eyre.
Alright, so this is further character building. We now know that this character can reference Jane Eyre. I can't, so I don't know how valid a reference that is. For all I know, Jane Eyre has no stormy nights at all. Nope, nothing over here. Candles, chairs, tables, windows, watercolors, foyer. Oh, hi-fi system. Also, she doesn't seem to consider stealing, which is interesting. Like, she'll con her way into getting a free night's rest, but I'm not seeing a lot of vibe for nicking things. Ooh, CDs.
There are a lot of CDs in here, but no maps or addresses.
That's also neat. She's clearly...
Odd place for a stereo. Maybe it calms down the patients at mealtime.
She's clearly operating on the idea of her perspective is very much focused still on this task of like where she's going to go. So let's check out the front entry. Can we head down this way?
I think I noticed a plaque yesterday. I should have a...
Entry plaque.
Center for Cognitive Abnormality Research? And this seemed like such a good idea last night.
Alright. That has the air of a flag. Like, I don't think that knowing this place is this kind of thing is going to actually produce any kind of difference. But it does leave me curious as to what the game is necessarily going to be throwing at me next. That's one of the problems with point-and-click adventures in general. They often didn't have consequences of actions following one from another nearly as much as they were common to have just sets of flags. Like, because you were in this location, this other thing's going to advance now.
That computer is ancient. It might as well be an abacus.
Alright, but can you use it? Photos of patients. You know... Oh, hello. Well, that's a little
Are
haunted.
these some of the doctor's patients? Interesting.
No.
Are these some of the doctor's patients? Interesting.
Oh, please don't be gross about people with different bodies, game. That'll be a bit of a bummer. Picture of a couple. Oh, zippered pouch. That's probably something you can pick up and
Nice
drop it.
couple. They look happy. Annoyingly perfect, maybe, but happy.
Alright, well, let's have a look at this zippered pouch. This, by the way, this is a lot of how my game playing goes when I'm not already, like, prepared and informed and aware about...
Ooh, I could really use a bit of that. Even 20 pounds. I'm stone broke. But it's the magician's creed. Never take cash or other valuables. I just can't.
That's pretty rad, that, like, she refuses to steal, even though she could. I haven't heard that as the magician's creed, though I have heard a couple of magicians, especially like since the 80s with Penn and Teller putting this stuff forward, that the idea that the magician has an ethical responsibility to the world around them to not be just a thief.
It's locked.
Locked, you say? Okay. Weirdo statue, diploma wall, books. Maybe the books will have like a map in them somewhere?
Someone must read a lot. Someday, I'll have a library.
I'm trying to treat this game as if it's taking me seriously. I'm trying to treat this game as if this is a person interacting with a space and is looking for a thing. I'm not going to go on pixel hunts. I'm not going to listen to every line of dialogue. I'm just trying to achieve the goal that the game suggested I already have, which is in this case trying to find some sort of map or way to proceed onward out of here.
I hear someone in there. I better not.
Okay, so that cuts off that location. Now, that right there, the fact that she doesn't want to enter that area where there's another person, that is very different to the normal, like, flag-based way, because, you know, when that person leaves that space, she can now go there, which is interesting because, like, if something flag-based does mean that character moves around, it feels less like the game is being,
That's probably another bedroom. I better not open it. The occupant might get annoyed.
It feels a bit less like it's being set up that way.
Some dusty old armor in there.
These are not gargoyles. Gargoyles need to have a drain pipe through them. This would be grotesques.
Those gargoyles look like they were taken from an old building or something.
Hi there, high monk.
Looks like a monk. Or Quasimodo post-surgery.
You're on thin ice on this whole different body types thing game.
Weird painting. A woman and an owl. I like it. Pretty surreal.
Okay, so this upper room funnels you downstairs. There's nothing up here that seems to advance what we were after.
That's not something you'd want to run into while stumbling upstairs in the dark.
Okay, so now we are at the point where I'm getting to be slightly confused, or maybe a little exasperated, because the obvious choices of where to go and what to look for are all kind of tapped out. I'm not seeing what I might have missed. There's a non-obvious problem here, and I worry that this is going to wind up chaining into an actual puzzle, or if it's just waiting until I've absorbed like all the watercolors or something.
A couple in a boat, kind of symbolic of a relationship. Except if it were one of my relationships, we'd be adrift in a storm in the middle of the ocean.
One thing I do kind of like about this style of game, like point-and-click adventures do this a lot, visual novels do it a lot as well, where you are technically privy to the inner thoughts of the character almost all the time. Like, they're just constantly giving you what they're thinking. In this case, she's acting as if she's saying it aloud, but there's no clear indication she's actually doing that. So she thinks of herself as a bit of a hot mess. Okay.
These watercolors are good, but I'd say homegrown. Someone in the family must be an artist. These watercolors
Okay,
are...
so this one, the boat painting has a different comment.
L plus D. Live and die? Laurel and Darty?
Okay. That has the powerful air of a future soup can puzzle, if you're ever familiar with those. In The Seventh Guest, there was a puzzle that relied on just collaborating a bunch of soup cans into the right order, and if you did it correctly, the doorway unlocked. There was no association between the soup cans and the lion's face had its own thing. Alright, well, let's check out these back exterior. I mean, I did drop my map, so maybe I could walk back along that fork and find it. I'm trying to think about where I would actually find a map at this point. Now I'm just kind of like farting around. Oh, a garage.
I stuck my bike in there last night. I'll probably ditch it. It'll cost too much to fix it, and it's a piece of junk anyway.
Alright, so... that's not ideal. Tower trees. Like, where do you keep the bus timetable in your house? I'd keep it in the nightstand. I'd keep it in the stand near the front of the house, because where you want it is when you're leaving. But these days, I'd mostly just look that up on my phone.
I love all this old gothic stuff around here. Neat house. That tower looks strange standing by itself like that. It's almost like a miniature or replica.
Okay. Not a lot of stuff.
It looks like it could start raining again at any minute. Just my luck.
I really do like the way this game looks. Like, I'm not always wild about the whole 3D model on painted backgrounds, point-and-click adventure. I played a lot of mediocre games in that genre back in the early 2000s. But, you know, I'm jamming this one. But,
I need to find a map or something. I have no idea where the nearest bus stop is.
Yep. Okay, gotta find a map. Well, at this point, none of the paintings have given me that vibe. And I guess the nearest thing that could be like a map is going to be, well, in the room with a skeleton in it. I'm going to be so mad if, like, I find it when I investigate the skeleton. Hang on. Lion's face. That's weird.
All these friendly faces around here are freaking me out. I better find a map, or letter, or something that tells me where I am, and how I get to the nearest town.
Well, I mean, that new assistant envelope probably could help, but apparently not. Alright. File logs, ashtray, computer.
There are no maps or bus schedules lying around. Not even an address.
Maybe checking their mail?
Looks like family photos. Nothing of use to me in there.
Alright, a globe.
There's no "you are here" on the globe, unfortunately.
That would be King's Quest level dumb. Beautifully dumb, but dumb.
You know, this house is downright creepy. And I'm an ex-goth. I know creepy.
X? Yeah. Alright, so the computer's not usable. So, Jane Jensen made some of the writing on EcoQuest, which...
Someone must read a lot.
Yeah. And I wrote about how much I loved EcoQuest. She also wrote Gabriel Knight, and wrote for King's Quest 6.
I take it the patients have to wait a long time around here.
Ho ho. Alright, wow. This is really interesting because it's a question of knowing at this point. Like, what have I failed to look at that would be reasonable?
Lovely. Just what I want to see when I'm waiting in a doctor's office. It doesn't look like anyone's used that fireplace in ages.
There will be at some point, I guess, a escape up the fireplace. maybe? Definitely can't use the phone for something. Man, this is wild.
There's no one I can call. I don't know a soul here.
All right, one more time in the dining room, and then we'll call it. Because at this point, I think I've done my level best at treating this game as if its conveyance is
China and silver. Fancy.
as if its conveyance is meant to carry me along from point to point. And I am trying to find the thing it wants me to find, but I'm not having a lot of luck here.
I can see the long drive I came up last night. The road is still there. That's a good thing.
It's a shame, because I have the impression this game is probably going to wind up dipping into some supernatural stuff, and I'd love to see this game's impression of what a ex-goth street magician would think of that kind of thing.
Look at that statue of a veiled woman. I have no idea what it's supposed to mean, but it's sinister as hell. I love it.
Alright, and is there anything here? Just the envelope.
It says, for the...
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so at this point I think I've been into every... I guess I haven't technically been into mine. Oh, there's a run button. Well, that's greatly appreciated. Cabinet, gargoyles, painting, Sam's bedroom. We got anything in here I missed? Nope. Well, that stuff I've all looked at. Diary, matchbook, army knife. Ah. Interesting. That's particularly cool. That's actually kind of nice in that it's got in that it actually keeps like a dialogue list. I like that. All right. Well. Okay. Now at this point I think I've clicked on everything pretty reasonable to click on. And I've clicked on several things that look like they should be obvious connection going forward. Like that's a smartphone. That's a charging smartphone. That sure looks like it, right? Yeah, it looks like a charging smartphone. So now, is this saying that this game has failed at like the first hurdle? Like, of course not. It's just that.
Cool house. A bit creepy, but I kind of like that.
This is the kind of thing that I have to that I try and pay attention to. Oh, hello. Just the plaque? Is there...
I guess there's not much of a business in cognitive abnormality these days. This place is practically deserted.
Like, there's just the plaque? Can't, like, brush stuff aside and see the address? Bother. Back exterior. Foyer, exit. Okay, let's do one last check at the back exterior. Front entry, garage, statue. Is there some space around the back that, you know?
All I have is 5 pounds.
Nope. And this is the problem of conveyance. Like, this is the first time the game has given me a just any kind of space on my own, and I can't see where it wants me to go forward. This is a problem a lot of point-and-click games have. If I was going to do like an extensive playthrough,
Odd place for a stereo.
if I was going to do an extensive playthrough, I'd make a point of you know, coming at this with a bit more prep. But yeah, I cannot see what I'm meant to do from here.
Wow. Those are up there. I think they're Viking heads.
But yeah, this is a shame.
God, You could feed the House of Representatives at this table. Some people have this kind of money. Then there are the rest of us.
Yeah, I think I've got to wander around and find the thing I haven't looked at yet that's going to cause the flag to trip. I can't see what I've missed. Well, that's a bummer. I was hoping I'd have more to show for this, but part of this is to be honest about what happened, and... well...
I don't smoke.
That's good. Why is there a... There's no text there.
There are no maps.
Alright, there's no text there, so I assume that's just like the whole of the bus. Sorry, the whole of the desk. That office door isn't closed. Have I not looked at the diplomas?
It's locked.
Can I pick the lock?
A girl traveling on her own. A girl
Okay, so you're not going to pick the lock with this Swiss Army
It's
knife.
locked.
Alright.
Nice couple. They look. Dr. David Stiles. Dr. David.
Huh. Because this is a cutaway shot. That's a little weird. So this is clearly important. Ugh. I really hope that wasn't the flag I meant to tap. Kitchen?
I hear someone in there.
No kitchen. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to have to call it here. I've got no idea where to go forward. And that's a shame. That's a shame, because I do like a lot of the things this game is doing. I like the really nicely done backgrounds. I like the fact that the main character's a girl. I like that there's a lot of stuff in just her general accoutrement and in her backpack that all like signals the kind of person she is. I like what we're getting so far. I like the deliberate use of a dilapidated remote location to make it so that you're paying attention to the various weirdness around her. Saves on budget too. I like Houdini. Houdini's cute. But I think in this case, I'm going to have to stop here and just admit it. I don't know much about this game, and it's a shame. So I guess I should just finish up by explaining why it actually took me so long to get around to playing this game. And it's because Grey Matter was briefly not on sale on Steam. I don't know if you know about this, but a couple of years ago, Steam made a change to the rules that meant that they could now display prices in local currency. For some people like the EU, this was relatively easy and painless, and they handled it in one big fell swoop. But when it came to Australia, because we have our own censorship laws, what they did was they set every single person to have every single thing on the store to not be sold in Australia until its producer went in and just ticked a box that said, yes, sell in Australia in local currency. And for almost everyone, this wasn't a problem. But for a lot of indie development teams or small development teams or games that don't have a big following or a big audience, this meant that there was you had to have someone who probably wasn't checking this go into a back end on Steam and tick a box. So Grey Matter wasn't available for me to buy in Australia, despite the fact that it's not censored. I wound up having to contact a friend who had some contacts in the game industry who just asked around and said, hey, can anyone tell the people involved in this game company that's not quite up to speed at the moment? You know, that, hey, the game that they're selling on Steam needs to be ticked to be saleable in Australia. And that didn't happen in time for me to play it last August. So I've been pretty much waiting around to get to it now. My original intention was actually to play Volume as this month's Magic Month video, but by the time I realized how much I loved Volume, I was already 50 levels deep in it, and I hadn't been recording. I wasn't expecting to love Volume. There was a plan to get some video footage off someone else and see if I could use that, but they never got back to me, which, you know, is a bit of a bummer. That's not to say this is a bad game. It's just that this is one of the things that happens with a game pile. I get something in my game pile, I play it, and I find I hit a wall. And it's okay to stop playing games when that happens. Now, it's kind of sad that this game, I hit a wall in the first half hour, but that's okay. I'm glad that this game exists. It looks kind of cool. Maybe I'll come back to it, or maybe I'll recommend it to someone who's got more patience for this kind of thing, and I'll learn something about what they think of it. This is okay. This is alright. And I've effectively sent some money to a game developer who almost certainly isn't a particularly bad group of people, and gotten half an hour out of it. It seems to me to be pretty fine as far as these things go. And, well, I guess this is the thing that you need to see every once in a while out of my production schedule. But I may be producing a lot, and I may be producing often, but that doesn't mean I'm producing flawlessly. I'm producing lots and lots of stuff that sometimes doesn't work, and it gets shuffled off and put in a drafts folder and left alone until I can find a way to make it work eventually. Sometimes years later. Anyway, so here we'll leave these characters with Houdini nomming away happily on a carrot. Thank you very much for coming around.